So today I want to talk a little bit more about prepping and a little bit more on some information and some actions that we need to take if you're into prepping and why, and everybody should be into prepping, but most people are too caught up in their own little things to think nothing bad can happen, but whatever. Um, we know on YouTube that there is an increasing amount of copyright strikes that are happening. And it is censorship. It's designed for censorship. People think, oh, no, it's a legal thing. No, it's not. It's censorship. It's censorship, okay? And it doesn't take very much to implement a copyright strike. All you gotta do is play a little bit of music somewhere, and that's it. That's all it takes. And people think that it's a big war against freedom of speech. And oh, you don't have the right to do that. I have the freedom of speech. Well, really, all you have to do is play music in your video, and your whole frickin' channel can be shut down. So, what does that say about that argument, huh? Not very much. So that's the deal, and it will continue to keep happening. These little tactics that they use, like, oh, you play music in there, and then that's copyright strike. The simplest and the littlest reasons can get you copyright striked. So what does that say about that, huh? Every time that you go on what is it? Every time that you go on a website, or like if you join a YouTube account and you want to make content, you click the terms and agreements that YouTube and many other websites have. And when you click those little terms and agreements, guess what happens? You give them the right to fuck with their shit. You give them the right to mess with your content, basically. Your intellectual property, it's the deal. We'll give you the platform, but you're putting it on our stuff. That means that we have access to it. And that's why it's such a long, lengthy contract that nobody ever reads, and that you click over that, and that's the thing. That's why you can't just simply disagree with it. You have to agree with the terms and conditions with any of those things, because it's the exchange. We'll give you the platform, or you can use this stuff, but we want your information too, and we want to be able to do what we want with it. And so that's why they can simply shut your channel down and all this other stuff. So it's censorship, okay? That's the bottom line. So actions that you need to take. Well, here's the deal. I'm going to keep it plain and simple and short and sweet. Get yourself an external hard drive, at least 1 terabyte, and you'll burn through a terabyte if you're storing a lot of information quite quickly, actually. So get yourself about 2 terabytes of an external hard drive. They're not very expensive, and they do the job well. Save all MGTOW videos. If you make content, save your content on the MGTOW videos that you have onto that external hard drive. So save MGTOW, anything that you find important, MGTOW content, other people's content, save all of their videos. This is what I do with any MGTOW video I have. If I find that it's worth enough to put into the external hard drive, I have a program that I can copy the YouTube video down, and I can I'll tell you what it's called. It's called Clip Grab for me, and I can take those videos, and for my own personal use, I do not redistribute this stuff content at all. I keep it for myself, and it's personal, and I put it into my external hard drive, so that in case YouTube starts shutting people's things down, which I see happen all the time. I see people's, I see that, videos that I have saved on very important information, the next week or the next day it gets shut down even. So I have my eye on all my subscriptions that I'm subscribed to, and MGTOW and other things. Every minute of every day I'm checking for updates so that I can grab it quickly and throw it into my hard drive if it's important. Those are habits that you're going to have to learn. Personal information and all these other things, you got to have it backed up. And also, just because in case your computer crashes, you don't lose everything. So that's the bottom line. But the important message behind that is that they're censoring the internet, they're censoring YouTube. Make sure that you have that information stored so that you can go back to it and reference from it in case of in case of the fact that they shut YouTube down and you don't have access to that information anymore. Because knowledge is power. That information is what affects your decision-making capabilities and possibilities. Information is what's going to affect what kind of decisions you end up making in life. Whether it's what to eat or what to do or what to buy. That's why the news and the media give you false information, because they know that information affects your decision making. That's why they give you false news. So information and knowledge is power, because when you know what's going on, you're not brainwashed and you're not uninformed. That's why that information is so important, which is why you have to have it there and access to it. I take advantage of the fact that we always have internet access available to us, but if it's no longer there, or not the fact that it's no longer there, but if it's censored, and the most important information that you need to get access to is no longer there because it's censored, you're shit out of luck. Any bits of important information, I save it to an external hard drive. So get yourself at least a terabyte. External hard drive, and throw all that information in there. MGTOW videos, music, personal information. If you own movies that you bought, save it to an external hard drive. That leads me to the second thing. Get yourself, just as a side thing, get yourself a DVD player, one or two, just that you can play DVDs on, because I feel, that if they want to, what they can very easily do is change the programming in any computer or electronic that you own. And so if you want to go onto a website or you want to play a movie that has been banned, all they have to do is change the programming so that when you put the CD in it, it doesn't play, and then a little message will pop up saying, "Oh, we're sorry, this movie has been banned in your country." That's what they do in China. That's what they do on the internet. The China, you buy a DVD player, you can't play certain kinds of movies on there other than the ones that they allow you to play. So let's say, for example, in 20 years, the censorship has gotten to a point that they're doing that. And you have an old movie or something you want to put into your new computer, and it won't let you do it because they censored the movie, because all they had to do is change the programming in the laptop. Then you can no longer watch the movie. That's how the extent of the censorship can be. So you have to think ahead. So I think it would also be a good idea, just for entertainment's sake, get yourself a DVD player that you can hook up to your TV. Same thing can happen with the TV. They can still manipulate that, but at least you got, it's backup. It's making contingency plans. It's thinking ahead. It's preparing. So, external hard drive. You need to save all this information that you have on the internet, websites, all that stuff. Copy down articles, paste it onto your desktop, or drag it to your hard drive and save it, because we all take for granted the access to information on YouTube. We take it for granted on Google. I know I do. And we know they're trying to censor that. And the reason why I got into prepping is because I know that it's a pretty stinking big ballsy gamble to think that it's always going to be there, especially when we see the censorship coming in. That's why people that are not into prepping, they're so out of touch with reality. They think, "Oh yeah, that'll never happen. It'll always be there." That's why they want to keep people constantly dumbed down in a state watching news and TV and entertainment and all this crap, to distract them, so that the real important stuff that they should be paying attention to, if they ever do break that trance of being entertained by all that garbage, when they do want to get access to that information, it's no longer there. They should have been spending the time learning about how this world really works. Instead, they spent their time on the front of a TV watching useless garbage all day long. So if they ever do wake up to a point where they want to know more than that and they don't want to be a part of that anymore, that information is going to be long gone. That's why you have to take advantage of it now. Because part of prepping is knowing the fact that you don't know the outcome of any situation. Even though you might think you do, you don't. That's why you have to be prepared for every... that's that old saying that goes, prepare for the worst and hope for the best. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So you have to take that into your consideration. People that don't think about anything wrong could ever happen. Oh, the internet won't be censored. Well, we'll still have this. Well, whatever. Let them You can't help them. They don't want to think outside of reality. They want to be stuck into their own little bubbles thinking that everything's going to be fine forever. That's why they dumb people down with entertainment and drugs and news and sports and all this fucking useless crap. Because when they do start taking the information, it's no longer there to them, and then they're screwed. They're trapped into the delusion. And the only thing they got is their entertainment, and that's all they're ever going to have. I want to read an article, or I want to read a part of an article that I ran across here. And it has to do with this whole thing. It's written by a gentleman by the name of Raul D. Manchandetta. And it has to do with the whole drugging down of American culture. I'm going to read an excerpt from this guy's article. The American people are the most drugged people in our history of the planet. Illegal drugs get most of the headlines, but the truth is that the number of Americans that are addicted to legal drugs is far greater than the number of Americans addicted to illegal drugs. Close to 70% of all Americans are currently on at least one prescription drug. That's 70%. In addition, there are 60 million Americans that abuse alcohol and 22 Americans that use illegal drugs. What that means is that almost everyone that you meet is going to be on something. Sounds absolutely crazy, but it's true. We're literally being drugged out of our minds. There are 70 million Americans that are taking mind-altering drugs right now. If that seems like most people cannot think clearly these days, it's because they can't. We love our legal drugs, and it's getting worse with each passing year. And so you look at, I tell you what, I was at the store the other day, and I kind of flipped out because I hated going into Walmart. I walked in there, and they had they had replaced and I never go into Walmart unless I absolutely have to get something cheap and quick, basically. But I walked in there, and they had improved their fluorescent lights, like they had gotten some brighter fluorescent lights than the usual already bright as fuck for fluorescent lights that they already have in that damn store. And I looked at it, and it just gave me a complete headache. Every time I've gone in that store, I come out really mad. I come out angry. Whether it's the people I look at and nobody's paying attention, or whether it's the fact that the store sucks itself, all that put together really pisses me off by the time I get out of there. And then, so it just, all of that stuff is designed to get people in a certain frame of mood. Trust me, those fluorescent lights, they affect your mood. The stuff is in all the stores. But you look at people today, and you wonder why people are sheeple. It's because they're all drugged. It's like Soma. That's what the Soma is in 1984, which is what this article is basically hinting at. It's the Soma of our time that we see people all on drugs. Everybody is on some form of drug. Whether if it's prescription, whether it's illegal, whether it's alcohol. And as this article said, you wonder why people don't think clearly. They don't drive properly. They text and drive. They do stupid things. You wonder how people can go about life meaninglessly and robotically and monotonously like nothing is happening. You go into public and you look at people, and it looks like everybody's just lackadaisical. Like everybody looks like they're in some kind of daze or in a trance. Everywhere I go, I see this now. Everybody looks like they're either in a daze, they're on drugs, or they're in some kind of trance. Everybody. They sway back and forth, and they kind of have to stare out in the distance, and they're buying sugary food. They're zombies. Everybody's on some form of Soma. It's not just one drug. It's under a branch of different drugs. Everybody is on some form of Soma. And so when you try to talk about this stuff to people, like they're trying to censor YouTube, get yourself a hard drive, save your personal information and movies and music and articles and everything, save it. That you find important on the internet, save it. You try to tell people, they go, oh, that'll never happen. That's ridiculous. You're just crazy. Forget about it. They're drugged. They're in a completely altered state of mind. That's why you can't reach these people. You can't. Don't waste your time with them. It's over with them. You can't help them. That's why people that we try to talk about prepping, that these things go right over their head, and they completely deny it. And you wonder why, you know. So you have to learn how to get yourself now in a mentality of prepare while you can, because we don't have a lot of time left. You know, everybody wants to think that there's going to be somebody that's going to save them, that somebody is going to, we're going to have a president, you know, that is going to save everybody and bail everybody out, thinking that 4 years or 5 years down the line, it's not going to start all over again and all this stuff. Everybody wants to think that they're going to be taken care of and that nothing bad can ever happen to them and everything's going to be okay. And they're not going to censor the internet and they're not going to censor YouTube and no Muslims are going to come over here and blow people up and it's all a big joke. And all this crap. The economy isn't going to collapse. The civilization isn't going to collapse. Everything's going to be just fine and everything's going to get better and we're going to make it. Unfortunately, my evidence proves the exact opposite of every bit of that I just said. Things are getting worse. People are all on drugs. They're all constantly degrading by the day, by the minute. People are getting more stupid. They're getting more irresponsible. And they're getting more violent. And I would argue that most of the time they don't know that they are being controlled and manipulated by these factors because they've been brain damaged and brainwashed so much to the point where they're that's why you can't talk about this stuff with people, because they don't understand. Their brains have been warped, their minds, their spirits have been warped. This goes way beyond just the mind. This is the spiritual aspect. Their spirit has been warped with perversion, homosexuality, and all this filth and garbage that they put out every single day in the mainstream news media. And legalize all this stuff like gay marriage and homosexuality, thinking that there's no side effect to any of it. And you wonder how somebody that has that kind of mentality, or somebody that is broken free of that mentality, how can that even exist? It's because over 90% of the general population is either on drugs, they're brainwashed, and they don't know what the hell is going on. They're entertained with mainstream news politics. They're entertained with entertainment and TV reality shows. Meanwhile, the guy in the black mask is stealing your fucking every bit of information that you're going to need to have if you ever break free of that trance, which most people will not. And you're not going to have it anymore. And they're taking away your ability to gather that information. And when that happens, you are screwed. Because all you have left is that entertainment to keep you dulled down. And you live in a state of absolute monundum, robotic nature of living. Because that's all you'll have. That's all those people have that are brainwashed by all that garbage, the sheeple, so to speak. That's all they do is they sit out in front of the TV and watch reality shows and sports. And that's all their life becomes, and that's all they'll ever have. Because the time they should have been spent is by learning all this stuff about how this place works, or learning as much as you can and having an open mind and not getting caught up in ideologies and being put into a box and saying you're this or you're that, or racism or any of this other garbage that they're pushing down your throat. It's all a distraction. And unfortunately, most people fall for it. Not everybody, but most people, and that most is enough to affect a lot of people negatively. That's why we prep, because we know that stuff happens. And so, with that being said, I just wanted to talk, about that and talk about the seriousness of the situations we face in modern day time. There's no negotiating, there's no excusing your way around it. We know that there's censorship happening. You better get yourself a hard drive and save all your information, music, movies, websites, everything. MGTOW videos, your own videos, everything, articles, books. Save it while you can, because if they shut it all down, you're not going to have it, and you're going to be in big trouble then. I'd say also get yourself a copy of 1984 and Brave New World while you can. A hard copy. Because I bet you they're going to censor that shit too. Trust me. And like I said, they can rewire your computer so that you try to put in a program that you want to watch or a movie, and they say, we're sorry, this is banned in your country, you can't watch it. How are you going to get around that one, huh? And if you go onto a website that you're not like that they have banned, and you go on that website trying to get access to it a couple more than a few times, then they'll say, okay, this person's suspicious, and then before you know it, you get in trouble because of this Orwellian state that they have, that they're trying to implement, which is getting more and more tuned up by the day. The last thing I wanted to kind of bring up is the fact that if you're a MGTOW and you make content, you need to have yourself a burner email address that you can communicate with other people in the MGTOW community. And this is something I'm going to be working on. Trying to get some information that I can communicate with people outside of YouTube, like a burner email address. Or maybe if you got a Skype account dedicated to MGTOW, just go make an account. It's easy. And that way you can have an alternative way of communicating with people in case YouTube gets shut down or Google gets shut down. Or I'm sorry, the YouTube and Google work together, so people on YouTube go right through people to Google. So it's all going to be affected. You got to have a way to communicate with other people outside if they really start shutting everything down. So get yourself a burner email address or a Skype account, mainly a Skype account, because that way you can communicate via video or you can make a phone call, I mean. You want to stay in contact with these people because it's important. You can share information about what's going on in certain parts of the world versus other parts of the world, because we know that the news isn't telling you the truth about what's going on in other parts of the world. The only way you're probably going to get an accurate information on what's going on in different parts of the country is by getting it straight from people. And you got to have that ability. This is why I said knowledge is power, and information is how you end up making decisions. These are all different things that you got to learn about with prepping, and especially living in the 21st century. I'm also going to be looking at different alternatives to YouTube that I might upload my content to. So if I do that, I'll let you guys know, but I'm going to have a backup aside from YouTube, because the stuff I talk about, they don't like to talk. It's not stuff that YouTube likes to hear. People like that talk about certain things, they get their shit shut down. Especially preppers, for God's sake. People that talk about this kind of stuff, they don't like that at all. So I'm looking at alternatives. I will definitely let you guys know. And before I ever, I'll keep both channels up for information. But if in case, for some reason, if my channel gets shut down or other people I know's channels get shut down, you have another way of uploading content and communicating. It's very important. I'm going to make more videos about this, prepping and learning about different things. But like I said, external hard drive, save all your information. They're censoring people. You need to have that information. It's very important. Knowledge is power, and information helps make decisions. And you don't want to be caught without it if they try to shut it all off. It's very, very important. So that's all I had to say. I'll keep talking about this, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video.